Okay, the recording has started. We are talking about polar coordinates. It could be familiar to a lot of students. Polar coordinates. And I will basically go over the worksheet which I assigned. You can access this worksheet on Google Classroom. You can do it now. I'm going to discuss some of the questions, not all of the questions. And again, students who joined in today, you are pretty much all set. Students who are not joining, you are more than welcome to not to do these questions, copy these questions, but just do the questions which I did not discuss. And the first question from the worksheet, number one, given a number in polar form, 3, negative pi over 3, this could be a bit challenging because we did trigonometry so long time ago. We have to convert it into rectangular form. And let me quickly review what is rectangular, what is polar form. Given, let's put some point, call it pole, and assume this is our 0 degrees direction. Let's go in a direction of theta, that's called directed angle. If I'm going too fast, just feel free to stop at any point. And maybe this point has a radius of r. Then any point in polar form could be described as directed distance. I forgot to write this down. R is directed distance, comma, directed angle. Now that's the format which we observe over here. That's the polar coordinates over here. Now how to convert polar coordinates into rectangular form? Well, we need to calculate the projection on the x-axis, and we need to calculate the projection, let's do it blue, on the y-axis. Can anyone unmute yourself and tell me, knowing r and knowing theta, how can I express the length of this green side? Anyone? I see Adam is here. Adam K, go ahead. Tell me how to find this green side. I'm sure you know.
You would do Pythagorean theorem.
You can do Pythagorean theorem. You can also use sine and cosine. Pythagorean theorem will also work. Maybe it will be r times cosine theta.
Then it would Then it would be after that. That would be like -3 √3 over 2. Then, right?
Oh, maybe. Let me just finish this formulas very quickly, and I will
Okay.
check what you said. Yep. And this will be r sine theta. And now let me check what you said. So rectangular x coordinate will be 3 times cosine negative pi over 3. You're more than welcome to use unit circle or calculator, whatever. I know that cosine is even function, so I can forget about plus or minus. Pi over 3 is 60 degrees. And I remember that cosine of 60 is 1/2, or you are more than welcome to use unit circle or any other table or a calculator, which gives me 3/2.
2.
And y, same approach, but it will be 3 times sine of minus pi over 3.
Then, yeah.
And I think you said minus 3 √3 over 2. That's what you said?
Yes.
Yes, I agree with you. So our coordinate here, rectangular form, is 3/2, comma, minus 3 √2 over 2. And that's the answer. I will do one more of the same kind. I'll do question 3. I'm really just following the worksheet. I won't do even half. I will do a bit less than half. And please ask me questions if you have any. This will be on the final exam. Even if you exempt from this particular assignment, one question, just one, but it's still on the final exam. And I'm going to move on if everyone had enough time to write this down. And I'm going to discuss question 3. Question 3 has the same problem that I have to express my number in polar form, minus 5 to pi over 3. I have to express it into rectangular form. And in this case, since I already have the formulas, I'm not going to repeat the steps. I'll just plug into the formulas. X will be r cosine theta, and y will be r sine theta. Plug it in, minus 5 times cosine 2 pi over 3, and minus 5 times sine 2 pi over 3, and just simplify it. Let me give you 10 seconds and I'll call on someone. You are welcome to use whatever table, the unit circle, whatever is easier. Let me ask Alina, what did you get for this? Just unmute yourself whenever you're ready.
I got 5 over 2 and 5 square root of 3 over 2.
Thank you very much. Does everyone agree?
Wait, miss, for that one, negative 5 times sine 2 pi over 3, would it be negative 5 square root of 3 over 2?
Let's quickly check. Thank you so much for the comment. So this is pi over 3. This will be 2 pi over 3. And a 2 pi over 3, sine is positive, but minus in front. Yep, it will be minus. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I'm pausing for 10 seconds, waiting for your comments, questions, or just you finishing to write this down. You can just unmute yourself at any time and ask questions. All right, we move into question 7. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and share this PDF file. Can you guys see my screen? The PDF?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, now we have to graph it. And we did some, maybe we did a very, very similar questions or even the same questions before. We have to graph the number in polar form where 4 means directed distance and this means angle theta. All right, so let's go 4 pi over 3. This is, all right, this is pi over 2. This is pi over 6. This is pi over 3. This is pi over 2. And I'm going over it pretty quickly because we covered trigonometry second quarter and half of third quarter. Then this is 2 pi over 3. This is it 5 pi over 6, hopefully? Pi. So this is pi plus pi over 3. It will be here. This is my direction, 4 pi over 3. And I have to go 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. That's it. Guys, does this make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Sometimes when it's super quiet and I cannot see your facial expression, it's super difficult for me to understand whether you are with me or not anymore. But it's also good that it's quiet. It's awesome. All right, next one. I'll do maybe 2 more from here. I have to go. Let me deal with the direction angle first, and then I will deal with this minus 2. Well, 5 pi over 6 will be here. If I am to go 2 units, I would go this way. So this is plus 2. However, I have to do minus 2. So I just go into opposite direction. 1, 2. That's it. That's the answer. And you can notice that this point P could be written in different ways. You can write it as minus 2, 5 pi over 6. This angle is minus pi over 6. So you can also write it as 2 comma minus pi over 6. You can write it in two different ways, or maybe more, because we can rotate by 2 pi almost infinitely. And I will do one more. Nakata, can you please tell me which one should I do?
Number 9.
Thank you. Let me then do number 9. Let me deal the angle first, minus 3 pi over 4, and then I will deal with directed distance. Minus pi over 4, well, somewhere here, minus pi over 4, minus 2 pi over 4, minus 3 pi over 4, somewhere here. And I have to go 3 units from the origin. 1, 2, 3. So it's right here. And I can erase the red lines, not to confuse you. Oops, I also erased the green one, the blue one. Right, any questions, guys? How are we doing so far?
Pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
It's all
It's
good.
not
man.
bad.
Not bad is
Pretty
good.
easy.
Okay, good to hear. All right, let's move on. Let me stop sharing the screen. I would like to go to notes. Actually, no. I think I can just scroll down. Maybe it will be easier for us. All right, question 13. Given polar coordinates, name 2 other equivalent representations. 1 would be enough for me. If you can do 2, that's great. You can do 1. I just want to make sure that you understand how to name it the other way. Let me first of all graph 3 pi over 6. Pi over 6 is somewhere here. And I have to go 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So here, approximately where my point could be. What's the other way? You can, for example, express pi over 6 as different angle. Well, that's a beautiful arrow. Thank you. You can say pi over 6 is the same as pi over 6 plus 2 pi.
Tade Martin, mete arrow. I'm at my resolution.
You will?
Yeah. Monique Pesude for well, that's a beautiful arrow. Thank you. Mdi oh, God, cause I didn't.
You yourself, bruh.
All right, I'm going to mute everyone. Wow, I have 21 participants. I never was that popular in my life. The 21 people will willingly join my class. That's amazing. Anyways, we're trying to express pi over 6 as different angle, which could be same as pi over 6 plus 2 pi. And I'm not going to do math, but it will be 13 pi over 6. So you can express the same coordinate as 3, comma 13 pi over 6. That's the same thing. You can also, so the other way to do it, you can find this direction, green, I'm sorry, not green, blue, but then find not 3, but minus 3. So what's this would be? This is pi plus pi over 6 will bring you to the point of 7 pi over 6. But you have to go into opposite direction, which means another way to represent this point will be minus 3, since you go in the other direction, 7 pi over 6. So this is just another way. Here I explain the 2 ways how to do it. And I'll explain one more question. Alicia, please tell me which one would you choose, 14, 15, or 16? Which one looks appealing to you?
15.
Thank you. Let's do 15. Let me first of all represent this point on the unit circle. It's negative pi over 2, 2. So maybe it's like 1, 2, negative pi over 2. The other way, I can find this direction, but change the sign in front of 2. So this direction, we know it's pi over 2. I can write it as negative 2 pi over 2. That's one way. And the other way, I will just change this angle. I will write it not as minus pi over 2, but 3 pi over 2. We all know that this point is also 3 pi over 2. So the other way, I can do 2, 3 pi over 2. That's it. All right, questions, concerns, suggestions? Complaints is fine as well.
None. Pretty good, miss.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we're moving on then to the next page. Oh no, same page. But this one is one of my favorite questions because it's pretty self-explanatory. Given rectangular, we have to convert to polar. This is x, this is y. By x, it's root 3. By y, it's 1. And to find rectangular form, we need to know how much is hypotenuse. And we need to know the angle. Let me deal with the hypotenuse first. I think Pythagorean theorem will help you here. 1 squared plus root 3 squared equal to c squared. And I'm not going to do math because everyone already know. Maybe you can do it mentally. It's 2. And to find the angle, can Victoria, I actually don't know which Victoria is here. Do we have only one Victoria? Victoria, can you please tell me how to find angle theta?
You do the inverse or tangent inverse
Tangent inverse of?
of root 3 over, or 1 over root 3.
Do you remember how many degrees is that?
Yes, hold on. 30.
Yep, thank you very much. And we are done. We have radius. We have direction. And you can write 30 degrees of pi over 6. Doesn't matter. I will accept both. And thank you, Victoria. The answer. Maddie, can you tell me the other number? 18, 19, or 20? Which one?
Do 19.
Thank you. Let's do it. Let's draw a picture. We go 4 units to the right. We go 4 root 3 down. My direction, my directed angle is this much. It's between the origin, I'm sorry, it's between the x-axis and the terminal side. So please be careful. This is not theta. I'm going to erase that. It's not theta. The outside is theta. So we have to be very careful with the angle here. Let me first of all deal with the hypotenuse. I'm actually not going to do the math. Everyone can do 4 squared plus 4 root 3 squared, take a square root, it's 8. Or maybe you remember special right triangle. So I remember special right triangle, so it's 8. But I am going to do the angle. So let me call this something else, maybe alpha. And alpha tangent. Alpha is opposite over adjacent. And please notice I did not implement the minus here. For now, because I'm only calculating alpha, and then I will subtract it from 360. And that is 60 degrees. To find theta, I will subtract 360 minus 60, which is 300. Answer 8, 300. Done. I'm going to do 2 more, no, maybe next one. Let's see, 2 or 3 more questions. How are we doing so far? Are we still alive? It's been 23 minutes. Anyone sleeping?
No.
No,
Okay.
we're chilling.
Good, good.
Miss, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am?
So since the answer is 8 and then 300 degrees, would it also be okay to say 8 and negative 60?
Correct. You can absolutely say that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Usually students start falling asleep in 15 minutes. That's like a golden rule. If you're trying to deliver a lecture, try to do it in 15 minutes. That's why I'm concerned, because I was going for 24. I'm hoping that you slept enough. All right, maybe 3 more, and we will be done. Let's move down. Number 21, convert polar equation into rectangular form. I'm going to draw a picture, and I think someone will for sure be able to convert it into rectangular form. Radius is 3. Well, radius is 3, and I will draw something with radius 3. Can anyone tell me the rectangular form of this? Just go ahead and mute yourself. Adam Q, what do you think? What would be rectangular form? Joanne, what do you think? It's a circle. Don't be shy, it's a circle. It's x squared plus y squared equal radius squared. That's it. That's it. That's how we convert it into rectangular form. All right, let's move on. I'm going to skip 22. I'm going to move to the last page. And now we'll do 2 questions from the last page, and that will be it. All right, r equal 2 times secant theta. Let me just play around and see what first of all, secant is reciprocal of cosine. I can rewrite it as r equal 2 over cosine theta. And with the next step, I'll multiply both sides by cosine theta, because I can, and because why not? Cosine theta times, or r cosine theta, equal to, just quick reminder of the beginning of the class, when we had, when we just started, we said, well, this is a pole, this is 0 degrees angle, this is your r, and this is x coordinate, which is r cosine theta, and this is the y coordinate, which is r sine theta. Then what can I replace this with?
X.
Correct, thank you very much. So we say an x equal 2. And here you go. That's it. I'm going to pause for 5-10 seconds, wait for questions, concerns, suggestions as usual. All right, last question. Raf, tell me the number. Let me tell you which numbers do we have left. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Which one? Your choice.
26 is looking kind of good.
Let's do it. Thank you very much. All right, let me replace. First of all, we know that this could be replaced as y equal 2x minus 3, which we can easily graph. Minus 3 is the y-intercept and 2 is the slope. Graphing in rectangular form is not a problem. Let's now convert into polar form. All you have to do is remember that x is r cosine theta and y is r sine theta. That's all you need to do. Now put it in the equation. 2 times r times cosine theta minus, instead of y, I'm writing r sine theta equals 3. And express r. Let me factor r out. r 2 cosine theta minus sine theta equals 3. And divide both sides by whatever coefficient you have after r. r is 3 over 2 cosine theta minus sine theta. And that's the last question. I'm going to stop recording and then I will take your questions.